Good afternoon, and welcome to the Voice of Wisdom. With over 60 years of experience as an investment banker, entrepreneur, investment analyst, genius economist, venture capitalist, and political analyst and strategist, Morty Davis is Wall Street and capitalism personified. The over 400 companies for which he has raised more than $3 billion over the years have created a countless number of jobs and exciting new products. Through the Voice of Wisdom, Mr. Davis explores, analyzes, and debates the most topical, political, economic, and social issues facing our world today. Joining Mr. Davis today for a discussion on Operation Midnight Hammer is Len Carter. Len is an investment banker, business consultant, and private investor. And now, Mr. Davis and Mr. Carter.
Hello again. It must be 6:30 Wednesday evening. I know that because that's the time I do my podcast with you, my beloved and constructive and immensely valued and appreciated cohorts that really are responsible for anything good about this podcast because of your input and the modifications I make each week based on your criticisms, constructive or even seemingly initially not so constructive, but hurtful criticism. But they turn out to be constructive because they get me to rethink a lot of my positions instead of being totally sure that I'm right and stubborn. That's the trouble with families that are breaking up and marriages that are breaking up because one side or the other takes us, or both take rigid positions and refuse to give any merit at all to the other side. It's one of the big problems of our society today. So you all make a tremendous difference. It's like they always say, the professor or the teacher learns more from the students often than the other way around. By listening to them, by listening to their questions, by challenging the professor when he makes a statement that he's sure they understand and he's absolutely right. And then when they start questioning him, he finds it hard to establish the validity of what he said, the absolute rightness, until he has to establish the basis on which he says it. So it's the same with you all. You don't know that the time that you take, even as little time as it may take you or as long as it may take you, the great contribution you make to my wisdom. That's why I call it the voice of wisdom. I'm only the voice, but your input, but other input I get through my lifelong experience and my readings and my research and so forth. So thank you. It's a long introduction, but I owe you the thanks because you really make this show, the good part at least, you're responsible for. The other I have to assume is my, I don't know, my fault or I'm guilty of anything that isn't as certain as the tests you put me through. So anyway, let's get to the crux of the discussion. As I tell you every week, what we discuss is inevitably depressing. I don't mean for it to be, but since we're discussing headlines, news headlines all of the major events that make the not only the headlines but the breaking news on the various uh, channels. Um, what is it called? Channels. What is
Networks?
Fox?
Networks.
No, networks.
News?
It's ABC. And
It's
what's
cable
Fox?
network.
Cable next word, and what did you say was like ABC and CBS network
Cable networks.
networks and cable stations. So all of that comes across. It's not an announcement. Some young boy uh, graduated summa cum laude or something. That doesn't make the news. That doesn't make the headlines. And his own family his friends might be impressed. His teacher might be impressed, but it's not noteworthy to make the front pages of the news or make breaking news on the cable networks, or on the networks, ABC, CBS, NBC. So what achieves that result, that reporting, is news that's shocking, that's hurtful, tragedies, a number of shootings, uh, not even murder, because there's tons of murders every day. It doesn't make the front pages. It's too common. So the ones that make the front pages are stunning or shocking or are often, inevitably in my book, pretty depressing. Wars breaking out, battles lost, or deaths of major leaders in the world that I care about or you care about. Uh, so I have to start the program, in a sense, by the podcast, by apologizing to all of you coming along and reminding you of all these tragedies and depressing events that occurred, political events that were, some of us find very depressing. Um, so, given that's the case, I know I'm going to possibly or probably put you in a negative mood. So I like to start off by giving you one idea to add to your happiness, if that's what it's called, or to your feeling, creating a better life for yourself, planning a better life, causing a better life. And that is some idea that you should inculcate, start practicing at this very moment, all of which are in this book that you see on your screen, assuming 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 I can get my hat on right. My captain's hat.
There we go.
I'm the captain of this podcast ship. So the book you see in front of you on your screen, if you have your screen up, Happiness Guaranteed or Your Misery Back, has collected and extended all of the knowledge that I've been able to accumulate over the years and that's been available to me from the centuries, from the beginning of civilization, from the greatest scholars, priests, rabbis, psychologists, what have you, Dale Carnegie's, the one that impacted me enormously early in life was a priest, a bishop in Manhattan. I forget the name of the church, but one of the esteemed Catholic church is in Midtown Manhattan. And he wrote a book that caught my attention and literally changed my life because I followed his advice. He called it The Power of Positive Thinking. So this book captures all of that from from Plato and Socrates in the Greek era to the greatest as I say, psychologists, neurologists, everybody who had good ideas. Dale Carnegie, who wrote how to stop worrying, start living, and also how to win friends and influence people. Just thousands and thousands of articles and lectures are all incorporated in this book of 365 pages, one page for every day of the year. It's meant to give you an uplift and a preparation for dealing with every day of your life, of the year, to make for a more, I say, happier. I use the term loosely because in America, in this country, and in general, we think of happy of somebody who's laughing and giggling and jumping up and down. The result of taking marijuana or cocaine or half a bottle of vodka or 12 beers or something. That's not happiness. I'm talking about contentment. Even in our Bill of Rights, our forefathers, the leaders of our nation that wrote the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the dictum they gave us, the direction at the end was, they gave us all their ideas. In the end, they said, and we should pursue, our leaders and our political appointees, pursue the effort to make life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They say life and liberty as nouns and a fact, but the pursuit of happiness is an activity because it's an ongoing process, as the others are as well. But you never achieve happiness because you're trying to achieve contentment in the face of things you have no control over by being the manager of your own mind. You're in charge. So before I start out, I want to tell you one idea. The best way to get the best ideas is acquire a copy of Happiness Guaranteed or Your Misery Back. You can't see the bottom of the cover, but it says how to be happy no matter what. And the idea is for you to take control of your mind and always move it to a place where it's going to be happy, or take actions that will induce happiness. So my suggestion to you at this juncture is, from today on, from this minute on, make up your mind of a goal that you aspire to, that you would be excited about achieving and would like to work towards achieving. And if you have a goal like that, it fills up every day with a purpose. Because most of us, or many of us, I think most of us, fail to live with a purpose that we're excited about, that we feel is going to help the world, help our family, our kids, our wives, our friends, our community, our nation, our fellow human beings throughout the world. A purpose. And that's so fulfilling. It makes every day exciting because you can't wait to get up and see what you could do to take actions that will induce that kind of positive feeling and keep you excited all the days of your life till you achieve that objective. And then at that point, either add to the objective as you realize over the years that you can do even more, or identify some new aspiration that would excite you. But that way, it gives your life purpose, and you get up every day feeling you got something you look forward to doing. So if you take that approach towards life, I promise you, you're going to be happier in a sense of moving more toward contentment and away from focusing on the negatives, on the inevitable tragedies we all suffer, the disappointments, the failures, the mistakes. There's no limit to things we can get depressed about. So if you do that, become the manager, you're in charge of your brain, you dominate it. Nobody can make you as happy as you can yourself. And most people, even if they're good friends, are not in a position to influence your mind 24/7. But you are. And most people are too busy trying to make themselves happy, finishing your thoughts and your sentence to show how smart they are. So take charge, realize you're in charge, and pursue life with that attitude. It's what do they call it? An attitude of gratitude. Count your blessings. If you count your blessings and realize your blessings, because most of us never realize our blessings, the value of the blessings that we take for granted till they're gone. And somebody who gets cancer and suddenly can't see, goes blind, or can't feel or taste, or any of the senses that you get up every morning, you look out the window and you see nature and you see colors. And when that's gone as a result of some accident or illness that you go through, and you only realize afterwards when you recover, if you ever recover, how valuable. And when you get up in the morning and say, wow, I could see, Wow, wow. That's that's the kind of blessing you should count. Not when you get up every day and it's automatic. You don't even say thank you, God, or thank my lucky stars that my eyes work, or that my fingers work, or that my vitals are all working. So appreciate and count those blessings. So if you take that attitude, I promise you're going to live a much happier, more fulfilling, and less time being depressed and depressed and oppressed by your own past tragedies, mistakes, difficulties. I bought some stocks years ago, a biotech stock. I owned a bunch of shares at $7 a share. It recently reached $850. I say, oh my God, if I didn't have to do anything, just not sell it, I'd be worth a fortune. But I can't go back, you know. But it can be depressing if you focus on that. And I look at that stock almost every day when it appears on the uh, screen of the stocks of Bloomberg that I watch, and it shows that stock's price moving up or whatever. So the best way you can do that is acquire. I'm not trying to sell you this book because I don't keep any of the proceeds. I give it all to charity to make me happier. To make it when you get the feeling if you help somebody across the street that needs your help and you recognize that and they give you a thank you, the likes of which you never feel so enthusiastic, and I'll get it out, enthusiastically about, because they say it with a full heart and a smile. Thank you, Mr. Davis. That's such a good feeling. So do things for others, especially your own kids, your own wife, your own best friends, your own other friends, your community, your state, your country, your fellow human beings throughout the world. There's no greater feeling than getting the recognized in the appreciation you get from them. It's like the scholarships I've given at various universities, medical scholarships today to doctors and top research, uh, uh, biotech, creating new medicines. And they're sending me notes. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Without your financial help, your scholarship, and your paying for some of my living expenses during my tenure at school, I could never be where I am today. And it's such a great feeling. I get that upon their graduation, even during their attendance at college. I get notes from them. And years later, I don't even remember who they are. I remember their name because they always advised me who was being awarded the scholarships I provided the funds for. So there's nothing like it. So figure out how to do things that make other people happy, especially those closest to you, those you love, those you care about, those who care about you, and you'll see how much it adds to the contentment of your own life. And the joy, not only contentment, real joy. So that's what I chose to do with my rewards as I became successful. I would say all my classmates from Harvard Business School, the number one business school in the world, at which I graduated top of my class. Those of my class that became successful as I did by the time I graduated when I was 30, because I went back with 3 little kids after I graduated Brooklyn College. and by the time I was out 10 years, at 40, I was a multimillionaire. And all my classmates that achieved any kind of similar or almost equal success, and all my Wall Street contemporaries that achieved the kind of similar success that I had at 40 or close to it. The first thing every one of them, I tell you, did, without exception, they all got their own jet plane, which was great. They felt like such big guys. They drove out to the private airports, got on their plane with their own pilots, left when they wanted, didn't have to go through security. It was great, it was such a great feeling. And one that I looked forward to when I was poor and thought, my God, what a wonderful thing to have your own plane, your own pilots, leave when you want, come back when you want. And the next thing they bought was not palaces, but
Mansions,
mansions,
yachts, and
mansions in the Hamptons or in the Caribbean or in Paris or London, throughout the world. Some of them even bought their own. A couple bought their own islands, and they thought that was the be all and end all. And it was all material things, but which gives satisfaction, but also demand that constant attention. When you own a yacht and you have guests on, you have to provide food and accommodations, and you have to take care of your captain, the captain under the ship, and the pilots.
Instead of a yacht, you just got the captain.
Right, and the pilots of your plane get food for anybody flying around, plus your own family food and necessities. So it demands not only do you get pleasure, but it demands obligations on your part. You have to make accommodations for the pilots of your plane when you get to your destination, for your meetings for the next 2-3 days, for them to stay at hotels. It's not all that it's cracked up to be. It's an accommodation, and it's wonderful to have. But it also makes demands of you. Also, when you invite friends or guests to your mansion in the Hamptons, you got to provide a menu and meals and clean up their bedrooms for them. Treat them like you would valued guests, which they are. So anyway, the best thing is the joy and gratitude you get. So from doing kindness to others. So my advice is, if you have the power to do good things for others, particularly your spouse, your children, your good friends, your neighbors, your community, your society, your countrymen, your fellow human beings. There's nothing more rewarding than the feeling that you've done something good and that you put a smile on other people's face. And you should always have a smile on your face because it's something you could share with others without losing anything. In fact, gaining every time you have a smile or a laugh or share some humor with your friends. So my advice to you is run out and get this book right away. It's 365 days of great advice from all the ages, from all the geniuses that talked about this subject over the years, that taught it, that wrote about it. And will make you or give you the design of your life that will make you happier. It has humor, it has jokes, it has inspirational thoughts. It's phenomenal. And I know that because everybody who's ever written to me or called me, and thankfully up to today, nobody's called with a negative, even though I've offered from day one, and I don't even keep the proceeds. So it means I'm giving them money that I never had because I give all the proceeds to various charities, to scholarships, to colleges, graduate schools, hospitals, food for starving children throughout the world, children in poverty. There are so many good things you can do with money other than just spending it on material benefits. I'm not knocking that. You should enjoy all the material objects that improve the quality of your life. A wonderful mattress, a great television, whatever. So, but I've offered this to anybody who bought the book. If you purchase the book and you don't find that it's been a great benefit to you, it hasn't been uplifting and added to the quality of your life, send me back the purchase slip and I will refund not only your purchase price, but double your purchase price. So right away you should have some happiness from that. As long as you don't buy 500 books and get double your money back for the 500 books. But till this day, I offer that even for people who got it as gifts. If you're not happy with it, just get the purchase slip, a copy of the purchase slip from whoever gave you that gift, and I will return that purchase price that he paid for it to you, and I'll let you keep the book and enjoy the benefits of the book without having even paid for it. So God bless you. Get the book, enjoy it, and it won't be the most expensive gift or purchase you ever made. It won't be the most priceless, but it will be, I feel, probably the most valuable or amongst the one or two most valuable objects you will ever acquire in your life, either through purchase or through gift. in uplifting your happiness, your joy, your contentment in life. So, as that was a way to launch our program, which is now going to provide you with the depression that the weekly news always does. The weekly war and conflict you have with people that are close to you, even about politics, about leadership, about your being Democrat, Republican, liberal, whatever. So, without further ado, let's get started. I'm delighted to have back one of the greatest guys in the world, Len Carter, who likewise, as I was, a graduate of Harvard Business School, top of his class, and a graduate electrical engineer from one of the great Ivy League schools in the United States, Cornell University, and one of the greatest universities, institutions of learning in this world, Stanford University in California, where so many of the brightest Silicon Valley entrepreneurs graduated. Two young Jewish Russian students created Google, became multi-billionaires, creating that company while they were still at Stanford. So Leonard was a graduate, got a master's in engineering, electrical engineering from Stanford before he came to Harvard Business School. So it's a pleasure and a privilege to have Leonard join me. Len, you want to launch the program and
Thank you.
Get me off my monologue
Yes,
so that
thank you.
people can enjoy you?
So, as we say every week, a lot's happened in the last week. We saw over the weekend.
Too much. Bloody.
We saw over the weekend the U.S. enter the conflict between Israel and Iran with Operation Midnight Hammer, where a half a dozen or so B-2 bombers completed one of the longest, furthest missions ever, going from
most amazing
the United States all the way to Iran, refueled midair a few times, turned around, came back like 40-something hours later. So without even a bathroom break.
including another flight to Guam on the west.
And then another group went the other way to distract, to deflect, and which the most amazing thing is that this whole mission was carried out really in secrecy without it being leaked.
Unbelievable.
And
not without losing a single member of our
no planes
military,
no damage to any assets or no injuries to any soldiers or pilots.
Just amazing.
And then we saw a ceasefire, and then maybe a ceasefire, and then not a ceasefire, and now a ceasefire. So why don't we start off
between Israel and Iran?
Between those two countries. We saw Iran retaliate by sending some missiles into Qatar, the Air Force, the base there, and I think a few into
in addition
Iraq.
To all of the missiles and other what do they call it? Not missiles, but what else did they launch against Israel?
Drones.
Drones. Drones? Yeah. In addition to the enormous number of drones that they launch against various parts of Israel, killing people, maiming people, injuring tens of thousands of people.
So let's start with Iraq. I mean, Iran. Everyone fully expected some form of retaliation, just so that the government could save face and not look weak, even though they're in pretty bad shape militarily. You think this sticks at this point? Do you think that we'll have a period of non-hostilities, or is somebody going to break the silence and then it's going to start up again?
I didn't think it would last, and initially it hasn't lasted. And Trump this morning or yesterday morning lost his temper and even used the F word, foul language, as he lost his temper, beating up on his ally, Bibi Netanyahu, and Israel, as well as Iran. But I think he may be successful in pushing this through. I hope so.
But is a ceasefire at this point, if both sides stop?
Yeah.
Do you think that's, is that, is that a peace? Is that something that you want at this point, given that, the regime is still in place? Well, I don't think they're renouncing their desire to kill America and destroy Israel.
It depends.
They still may have some uranium floating around. They still have some knowledge of building weapons. I mean, is this the answer you want?
What's his name?
Lindsey Graham. Yeah.
That's the way Lindsey Graham says it. This is great, and it would be a real peace and a real accomplishment if Iran said, "We'll recognize Israel and we'll stop this war between us and stop killing innocent civilians in Israel and make a real commitment."
I think that's a good point. He's really asking what's changed.
Then we'd know. Yeah, then we'd know that we have a
real ceasefire,
a meaningful ceasefire to bring an end to this horrendous, endless killing back and forth, including children and infants and women. It's just horrendous. But we're not there by a long shot yet. So I hope we get there. I hope it. But I wouldn't bet against Trump, because so far he's remarkable in what he's achieved and what he undertakes. All presidents make this statement: they're going to do this or that or the other thing. Even in making Jerusalem the capital of Israel, every president in his for the last maybe 50 years has, during their aspiration or the promise, if you vote for them, and Congress made it a duty for them to carry out this message, that they would move the Israeli American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, which Israel has always said was their capital, but nobody would recognize. And Trump was the first one to do it. So he takes initiatives that are courageous, and that he delivers what he promises.
Promises made, promises kept.
Yeah, it's great. You
So-
don't always have to agree with him, but you have to admire his energy and his living up to his promises.
So here's a question. Given what Lindsey Graham said, did he go far enough? I mean, is there really any way to permanently prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon? I mean, Putin says
It's unlikely.
Putin says
Yeah, you could-
other nations are going to sell nuclear arms
Yeah,
to
I don't think you can.
He said
ever,
that before,
yeah,
but
I don't think you can ever do that. Even now, that when Saturday night when Trump made the announcement, he said we he didn't use the word devastated.
obliterated.
We obliterated the
Right.
Florida, the main atomic development,
Hmm.
nuclear development, and it sounded phenomenal. Now, as the reports come out,
Maybe yes, maybe no.
the recent reports are it probably delayed them at least 3 months.
Right.
Certainly not, and
Right.
and in a way, it's a little worse than it was before, or a lot worse than it was before, because Iran said, "Well, now that you did this, we're not going to let the what do you call it, the Atomic Energy Commission that supervises and the reports on progress. We're not letting them in. We're not letting them supervise and look at it. So we'll look, and also we're more determined than ever to produce a nuclear bomb, and it's almost impossible to prevent it because
So do you do what Israel said and say if they start up again, we're coming right back and we're going to attack again and destroy the sites, or do you try to somehow preemptively stop that either by or somehow orchestrating or facilitating a change in regime?
well before Trump attacked, he gave them 60 days for at first. Then he gave them another. He said 2 weeks, but he did it in
2 days.
2 days. But he gave him 6 days, 60 days,
Hmm.
and he said, if you close down for that uh, specific place, for what is it called,
Fordo.
Fordo, and we can come in and we or the Atomic Energy Commission, the Nuclear Commission, can come in and see that it's totally gone, and you commit to keep it closed and never open up again, then and we're there all the time to see that that's true, that spot or anywhere else, then we know. So that's one way to at least stop that activity. It doesn't say they can't buy it or they can't do it somewhere else. It's impossible to really, unless somebody really intends to behave 100%. It, you know, you could try, but it's very hard. And in my book, as I'm writing now in my newest book, that it's going to go into print by the end of the year, hopefully, I say we're moving inevitably and interminably towards the end of the world, because every weapon we've ever developed from day one, when we could only kill each other with a rock from being right next to somebody, or a branch, to all the developments, uh, what do you call it, the spring that lets you launch with a bow and arrow,
Slingshot.
a slingshot from half a block away, or guns that you could do from a block away. When they had the duels, they each left, they walked for the distance from each other, a block away, and they could reach out and kill each other there. And then tanks and airplanes. And each time we developed something, we found a faster, more efficient way to kill each other from longer and longer distances. Airplanes,
Even look at
missiles.
this. We had the 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs, which were new and never been used before in battle. Now they're used.
Right.
Next time it'll be a 100,000-pound bunker buster.
And not only that, I don't know, it was right. Somebody said yesterday, I think somebody from Iran or the UN said, the United States killed a million in Nagasaki and a million innocents in Hiroshima. I never heard that number. I have no idea how many. I know we killed almost all civilians because they were in army bases or military locations. So that was way back in 1945, 44 or 45. So since then, I think the power of our nuclear weapons are maybe 100 times as great, and we don't even know the ramifications of using such a bomb in terms of the damage it could do to the world and to all of humanity. Even when the scientists who developed the nuclear bomb before they launched it in 1944, they were not sure that it might not destroy the whole world. The radiation destroy at least the whole human race. And we're moving towards that. So we better stop soon, otherwise somebody's going to get it. North Korea has it. China has it. So far they've been responsible. Russia has it. But somebody like Iran doesn't even hesitate. They say, if we get it, we're going to destroy Israel, we're going to kill all the Jews, and we're going to destroy the great Satan. Israel's the little Satan, and the United States is the great Satan. So I don't know, if we don't stop, if we don't have the wisdom, our children won't have a world that they could occupy. It's unsustainable. It's a really non-existent. It's existential anymore. Sustainable to life, have life on the world as we know it, on Earth. And it's inevitable because we use every time we developed something more powerful. It didn't take long before somebody used it. And the nature of human beings, there's always somebody evil, somebody that doesn't care about life, that will one day, and we don't know the ramifications of the next time anybody uses it. If the world's, I don't know how we don't realize that and don't deal with that collectively. The UN is a total waste. They might as well close it down. It does absolutely nothing. The League of Nations, which was created after the end of the First World War, turned out to be inept and totally wasteful, and was dissolved. And then they came up with the UN, which is no better. As Bibi Netanyahu pointed out the other day, this is the 197 nations at the UN. Israel's been censured more than all of the other nations combined. One tiny nation. So, it's, and the head of the human rights are Iran, and they have the human rights commissions appointed by the UN each several years. So who's the head of it? Iran, Iraq, Libya, all of the worst, Pakistan, Afghanistan, all the worst countries in the world who are the worst human rights abusers, who treat their women like slaves, like dogs.
Want to get your reaction to something which sort of was a surprise to me. While I may not agree with all of things that President Trump has done, I think the action over the weekend and his view and positions here, I think, are the right ones. But when I look at this poll, that 3 different questions, how do you view the U.S. decision to take military action in Iran?
Yeah.
56% of adults disapprove. This military action will make Iran more of a threat, less of a threat, or neither. 58% thought more of a threat. Do you trust Trump's decision? Do you trust Trump to make the right decisions on the use of force in Iran? A great deal, 22%, moderately, 23%, not much, 17%, not at all, 38%. When you look at by party, it's quite different. Do you approve of? How do you view the decision for the U.S. to take military action? Approve. 82% of Republicans approve. 18% of Democrats approve. Disapprove. 88% of Democrats disapprove. And even independents, 60% of independents disapprove. But I just find that striking that even overall, across all parties, 56%, a majority of Americans don't approve of the decision to take that action in Iran. I would kind of throw out the question, well, what would the alternative have been? Do nothing? Do you really think that they would have, not agree? I don't understand. What do people?
Their view is that if you do
we don't want forever wars. We don't want
to lead to World War III. And that's so ridiculous. It's the argument I had with the Secretary of State for Jimmy Carter. What was his name? We had him as a speaker in Washington for a group that we had a speaker every month. And it was before Bush put us into Iraq. And he was right for the wrong reason.
Cyrus Vance?
What? No. Not
Muskie?
Oh, no.
Secretary of State was first Cyrus Vance, who served from 77 to 80. After Vance's resignation, Edmund Muskie was appointed to the position until 1980.
77.
So it was before Carter?
Jimmy Carter's Secretary of State.
Was Cyrus Vance from 77 to 1980.
Before 77.
So that was during Ford. Because Gerald Ford. Kissinger. So
he followed what's his name. His daughter is on um, Morning Joe. I forget his name. Anyway, he was speaker, and Bush was about to go into war with Iraq. And he was right for the wrong reason. He said, we shouldn't do it. He didn't say because they don't have, weapons of mass destruction. He said, well, we're going to be in a war like with Vietnam. And I said, you must be naive or kidding, because Israel was attacked by 7 Arab countries, and it didn't take any of the times they were attacked, it didn't take them more than 2 or 3 weeks to beat off the multiple countries. And here you're talking about Iraq, that the United States would be facing, and we're going to be in a Vietnam. So I said, I bet you it doesn't last 3 weeks. Anyway, sad to say, we did it. Saddam Hussein had no weapons of mass destruction, but we did beat him in less than 3 weeks. Unfortunately, we didn't do what we did with Japan or Germany and get an unconditional surrender and take over running a country till they behaved. So anytime we requested something like one of our GIs, one of our military personnel did some crime during his stay in Iraq, we wanted to have the right to put him on trial. And they wouldn't give us that right. We let them keep we paid for all the bills, but we wouldn't take any of the money that they were earning from their massive oil income. So,
do you think that a similar approach would work in Iran today, like in Japan or Germany, where it was an occupation like MacArthur?
yeah.
You think that would work in Iran?
I think that's the only thing that would work. Unconditional surrender. You take control, you don't lose any knowledge of anything that might be provoking against you as the occupier, and be tough. If we did in Germany and Japan what we did in Iraq, and the minute we won, we put in the same leaders again, it would have been horrendous. They were smart enough to realize that you had to get an unconditional. Anytime we go to war these days, if we enter a war, it should be total commitment and unconditional surrender.
Well, so then Trump's stopping short because he's not doing that.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe.
I don't think he's going to achieve what he wants, because I don't trust Iran to do. They don't have that motivation, because it's not other societies, other governments do have some commitment to their people, to world values. With what's his name, with Iran, with the Khomeini, they say they'll eliminate him. He's already appointed 3 successors, and he looks forward to be a martyr, because martyrdom and for them is like the best thing that could happen. He doesn't want to die of old age, so it's unbelievable, They don't understand the mindset of those Muslims who every day kill their own people, their own Muslims. Forget about the little Satan, Israel, or giant big Satan, the United States.
So then how would an occupation change? There's 100 million people in Iran. How would you change their mindset?
There was more than 100 million people in Germany and Japan. It's not the number of people.
So you think an occupation could change over time, could change the mindset?
You put an army there, yeah. You don't put a leader there and leave him out on his own. He wouldn't survive.
Well, on that happy thought, we are about out of time, or over time a little bit.
So I'm not trying to make you happy.
You warned me. You warned me.
So buy a copy of the book.
So
treat yourself.
We will have plenty more to talk about next time.
Give me the purchase slip. I'll refund your money.
Okay. Thank you.
Double your money. You never had a better deal like that. On television, they say if the supplement doesn't work, or if you're not happy with it, just return the jar and the purchase slip, and we'll refund your money, and you can keep the. I'm giving you better than that. I said you can keep the book and get double what you paid for it back. And in the meantime, you can do a mitzvah, because the money that you spent on the book, or that the guy who gives it to you spent on it, will go to some positive human charities, human good, kindness.
Okay. We are. Yes.
All good things come to an end.
Yes, they do. So
anyway, my wonderful cohorts, podcast partners, thank you so much for joining me this Wednesday. I look forward to being with you again next Wednesday. I hope you can make it. In the meantime, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a wonderful every day of your life till you're 120. After that, we'll negotiate for more. God bless you. Bye.